Okay, today's lesson is 1.3b, and unless you think you're watching the wrong video, this is not. This is the one that we're going to talk about end behavior and limits. The previous one did continuity and limits. This time we're going to talk about end behavior and limits. So I'm going to jump down to where we picked up yesterday, or where we left off on the one before, and that was to talk about the intermediate value theorem. So our intermediate value theorem says when you gotta have a continuous function, okay? And if there is an a value that is less than b, here's an a value that's less than b, okay? So from left to right, then there's a value n, okay? Here's my n, and it is somewhere in between f of a and f of b, okay? The really important thing, okay, that kind of might not mean anything to you, but let me just explain some things to you and you'll see it's not as bad as it looks. First of all, you all know that the x-axis is y equals 0. And if I go above the x-axis, y is positive. And if I go below the y-axis, y is negative, okay? The whole point is if I know that I have a negative value and then I have a positive value, then there has to be some number in between those two values, in between A and B, okay? Now, one of the best applications of it is if I go from a negative to a positive or from a positive to a negative, then I have to cross the x-axis. So we use this theorem to locate zeros from a table, okay? So here's an example. If f of x equals x squared minus 6 over x plus 4, determine between which consecutive integers the real zeros are located on this given interval. Okay, so what I did is I went and plugged this into class calc and I created a table. Okay, all right, here's my table right there. Okay, so I showed you how to do that on the previous video. Again, if you need some help, just let me know. I'm going from -3 to 4. So I started at -3 and went to 4. And here are my corresponding y values. So my intermediate value theorem tells me that whenever I change signs, if I ever go from a negative value to a positive value, then somewhere in between there, I had to cross the x-axis. So that means I have to have a 0. So all you're doing is looking for sign changes. So this is positive. 3 is positive. -1 is negative. So that means between those two numbers, I have a sign change. And between those two y values, I have a sign change, which means between those two numbers, I have to have a 0. Okay, and I think y'all did this again last year, so we're just reviewing. So then I have, so that was from 3 to -1, still negative, 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 positive. So from here to here, again, another sign change. It doesn't matter the direction, negative, positive, positive, negative. I just changed signs. So again, I have to have a 0 in between those two numbers. And that's as simple as it is. There are zeros on the intervals from -3. This is how we write our intervals, -3 to -2 and 2 to 3. Okay? So the last thing we're going to do is review end behavior. Okay, again, I know you did that before, did that last year. And in behavior, y'all, we're just talking about what's the left arrow doing of the graph and what's the right arrow doing. Okay, and the left arrow means x is going to -infinity, and the right arrow means x is going to positive infinity. Here it is on your graph. X goes to -infinity means I'm going way over here. X goes to positive infinity means I'm going way over there. Or again, what's the right arrow? What's the left arrow doing? Okay, so now one of the things that I want to point out to you is that's always the same. Sometimes it's hard for students to get this notation. So I'm going to point out to you, every time you answer this question, it looks the same. Okay, so it looks like this to start off with. Hardy har. Well, maybe not. There it is right there. So you can see it's the same thing for both of them. All right, so this first one says, as x approaches positive infinity. So you've got to know, is that the right arrow or the left arrow? Well, that says infinity. That one says negative. So this, and that's my x value. So my x goes to positive infinity means I'm going to the right. What's the right arrow doing? It's going up. So it's going to positive infinity. What is the left arrow doing? The left arrow is going down, so it's going to negative infinity. And that's all it is. So I look at this one. As x goes to positive infinity means that's the right arrow. What's my right arrow doing? It's going down. That's negative infinity. As x goes to negative infinity is on the left side of my graph. So what's my left arrow doing? It's going up. So I'm going to say it's going to positive infinity. Again, that's all you got. I don't know why that's on there. Okay, last two problems. Hopefully this makes up for the other video that was kind of long. So this one, again, as I said, you're going to have the same thing. Beginning notation the same. The only thing that's different is the answer that you put right here. So x goes to positive infinity is the right arrow. Now, y'all, it doesn't matter the order you write these two in. So when you do your homework with Delta Math, okay, pay attention because you got to see, you've got to pay attention to the notation. So x goes to positive infinity means the right arrow. This is not the right. This is end behavior. So end is all the way to the right or all the way to the left. Okay, so that's my right arrow, and my right arrow is not going to infinity. It would be going up or down. So it's clearly not at, if that's 4, this is 2. So it's past 2, but it's not quite at 4, so I'm going to say that it's 3. So that right arrow is going to 3, and this left arrow, since it's already past 4, is also going to 3. So we're going to say they're both going to 3. Okay? And this last one, again, we're looking for the end behavior. And the end behavior is what happens way out here. Okay, so when I follow this guy, I'm going to say, again, that's -4. And it looks like it's -3. Sorry, cat peeping over my computer screen, y'all. Sorry about that. So x as the right arrow is going to -3 and the left arrow is going to -3. And that is all you have. So I hope you appreciate the shortness of that video. Please don't hesitate to contact me or your teacher if you have any questions. I hope you all have a great day.